Ladies and gentlemen, today, I want to share a truth that might just change the way you see yourself forever. You are not who you were. You are who you choose to become. If you're tired of feeling stuck, if you've ever looked at your past and thought, that's who I am, then stay with me. Because the most powerful transformation begins when you realize that your past is just a chapter, not the entire story. And the best part, the next chapter is yours to write. You see, one of the most dangerous illusions we carry is the idea that who we are today is a fixed point. We walk around with this belief that our past, our mistakes, our failures, and even our successes are a permanent part of us. But what if I told you that's not only untrue, but also the biggest obstacle standing between you and the life you truly deserve? The truth is, your past is just that, past. It's a chapter in your story, but it's not the whole book. And if you want to unlock the next level of your life, you need to understand this fundamental concept. Your past does not define your future. Think about it for a moment. Every single person you admire, whether it's an entrepreneur, an artist, an athlete, or a leader, has a past filled with mistakes, doubts, and setbacks. But what made them successful wasn't their history. It was their willingness to evolve beyond it. They made a conscious decision to leave behind the version of themselves that no longer served them. They recognized that growth required a radical shift in how they saw themselves and what they believed was possible. They understood that if they kept holding on to their past, they would remain confined within those same limitations. Now, I want you to ask yourself, what are you holding onto that's preventing you from becoming who you're truly capable of? Is it a failure from years ago that still echoes in your mind? Is it a mistake you made that you think disqualifies you from success? Or maybe it's a limiting story you keep telling yourself, that you're not enough, that you're too old, too inexperienced, or that you've missed your chance. Whatever it is, realize this. These thoughts are only as real as you make them. They are stories you've accepted as truths, but they are not facts. They are narratives you can rewrite. The moment you accept that your past is not a prison, but a lesson, is the moment you set yourself free. Because here's the reality: the person you are today is a product of your choices, not your circumstances. You might have had a difficult childhood, faced rejection, or fallen short in some aspect of life. That's human, that's normal. But that doesn't mean you have to carry those experiences as chains. You can choose to see them as the fuel that propels you forward instead of the anchors that hold you back. Your past is a foundation, not a ceiling. It can be the stepping stone, not the stumbling block. The truth is, everything changes the moment you shift your perspective. When you realize that who you are is a fluid concept, not a fixed identity, you open up a world of possibilities. You begin to understand that the person you are today is simply a snapshot, not the full picture. Tomorrow you can be different. Next week you can be better. Next year you can be unrecognizable from the version of yourself you see right now. Because growth is not accidental, it's a choice. It's a decision you make every day to move beyond your comfort zone and challenge the narratives that keep you small. Many of us walk around with a mental script that says, "This is who I am," and we cling to it because it's familiar, even if it's limiting. But the most empowering realization is that you get to write a new script at any moment. The past is only a story you tell yourself. It's not the truth of who you are. You are not your failures, your regrets, or your setbacks. You are the sum of your decisions moving forward, and that's an incredible power to have. So what does this mean in practical terms? It means you stop defining yourself by what happened yesterday or last year. It means you stop allowing your past to dictate your future. Because if you keep holding on to those stories, you're essentially anchoring yourself to a version of yourself that no longer exists. The person you were then is gone. The circumstances are gone. All that remains is the story you keep telling about it. And you have the power to change that story starting right now. What if instead of focusing on what went wrong, you focused on what you can do differently today? What if you saw every mistake as a lesson, every rejection as redirection, and every failure as a stepping stone? When you shift your mindset from victim to victor, from passive to proactive, you reclaim your power. You realize that your past is not a chain but a catalyst, a raw material you can mold into a new identity. It's about understanding that growth begins with awareness. You must be honest with yourself about who you've been and who you want to become. The only way to move forward is to acknowledge where you are now and to accept that you have the ability and the responsibility to change your story. No one is coming to save you. No external force can do it for you. It's your life, your story, and your choice. Imagine standing at the edge of a vast ocean of potential. Behind you, the shoreline is littered with the footprints of your past, mistakes, regrets, and old identities. But ahead lies an uncharted horizon full of possibility. The question is, will you keep looking back at what was, or will you turn around, face forward, and step into the next chapter? Because if you want a future that excites you, a future where you're proud of who you are becoming, then you have to understand this: the past is a chapter, not the entire story. And the pen is in your hand to write the next pages. Now, moving into the second core idea, embracing change as a necessary part of growth. This is where most people stumble. Change is uncomfortable. It's messy. It's unpredictable. But it's also the only way to evolve into the person you're capable of becoming. Staying the same may feel safe in the short term, but it's a slow death of your potential. Change is the catalyst for transformation. Without it, you're stuck in a static version of yourself, living a life that's a shadow of what it could be. Think about it, every successful person, every person who's made a significant impact has one thing in common. They've embraced change. They understood that comfort is the enemy of progress. They didn't wait for the perfect moment or the perfect circumstances. They created momentum through action. They knew that growth isn't about waiting for the stars to align. It's about aligning yourself with your purpose and then taking relentless action, even when it's uncomfortable. When you resist change, you resist life itself, because growth demands that you shed old beliefs, old habits, and sometimes even old identities. It's about transformation, shedding the layers of who you used to be so that you can reveal the best version of yourself. That process might include failure, rejection, or moments of doubt. But those moments are not signs that you should give up. They are signs that you're on the right track. Every leap forward requires leaving behind the familiar, stepping into the unknown, and trusting that you have what it takes to adapt and thrive. Change is also about perspective. It's recognizing that every ending is a new beginning. That what's uncomfortable today will become your growth tomorrow. It's about understanding that the pain of change is temporary, but the rewards are eternal. It's about seeing setbacks not as failures, but as necessary detours on your journey. Every obstacle is an invitation to learn, to adjust, and to grow stronger. The key to embracing change is to shift your mindset from fearing it to welcoming it. When you see change as an ally rather than an enemy, you open yourself up to new opportunities, new relationships, and new versions of yourself. You start to realize that the person you're becoming is a result of your willingness to step into the unknown. You understand that comfort zones are prisons, and the only way to truly live is by breaking free from them. Change also requires patience. Transformation doesn't happen overnight. It's a gradual process, often filled with small wins and setbacks. But every small step counts. Every time you choose growth over comfort, you reinforce your commitment to becoming someone new. And over time, those small choices compound into significant change. You see, the human mind naturally seeks safety. It prefers what's familiar, even if it's limiting. But the greatest growth occurs outside of that comfort zone. It happens when you push yourself into discomfort, when you challenge your beliefs and habits, and when you decide that your potential is worth the temporary pain. Because on the other side of fear and resistance lies a new version of yourself, stronger, wiser, more confident. Embracing change is about understanding that life is a series of seasons, each with its own lessons and opportunities. You can't stay in one season forever. You must be willing to let go of what no longer serves you and welcome what's next. That's how you grow as a person. That's how you evolve into someone who is resilient, adaptable, and unstoppable. Remember, growth isn't linear. It's messy, unpredictable, and sometimes painful. But it's also the most rewarding journey you'll ever undertake. The person you are today is a product of the choices you've made, and the person you will become is a product of the choices you make now. So decide to see change as an ally, a necessary step on your path to greatness, because your future self is waiting for you on the other side of that discomfort, ready to thank you for having the courage to evolve. You see, one of the most insidious barriers to growth and transformation is the set of beliefs we hold about ourselves, beliefs that have often been shaped by past experiences, societal expectations, or even our own fears. These beliefs act like invisible prisons, subtly whispering to us that we are limited, that we are not enough, or that success is only for others, not for us. But here's a truth that many overlook: those beliefs are not facts. They are stories that you have accepted as truth, stories that you have allowed to define who you are and what you're capable of. The first step in breaking free from these limiting beliefs is to become aware of them. It's about paying attention to the internal dialogue that runs through your mind every day. Do you tell yourself, "I'm not smart enough. I don't have enough experience. I'm too old. I've missed my chance," or "I'm just not that kind of person"? These are stories, and stories can be rewritten. The moment you recognize that you're operating under a false narrative is the moment you reclaim your power. Because here's the thing, your beliefs shape your reality. If you believe you're destined to fail, then failure becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy. If you believe you're not enough, you'll unconsciously sabotage your efforts to succeed. But if you start to challenge those beliefs, if you begin to question their validity, you unlock a new level of possibility. Ask yourself, what evidence do I really have that I cannot change? What stories am I telling myself that are more about fear than fact? Usually the answer is very little, because most limiting beliefs are rooted in stories from the past, not in the reality of who you are today. The second powerful step is to reframe these beliefs. Instead of saying, I'm too old to start something new. Tell yourself, I have the experience and wisdom that others don't, and I can leverage that to create something extraordinary. Instead of, I've failed too many times, say, every failure is a lesson that brings me closer to success. This reframing is not just positive thinking, it's a fundamental shift in how you interpret your experiences. It's about creating new stories that empower you rather than diminish you. This process requires relentless honesty and courage. You have to be willing to look at your inner dialogue without shame or denial. When you catch yourself thinking limiting thoughts, pause and ask, where did I learn this? Is this true? What evidence do I have that contradicts this story? The goal is to create a new narrative, one that reflects your true potential and not your fears or past failures. Because the stories you believe about yourself become the blueprint for your actions, your decisions, and ultimately your destiny. Once you start to challenge and change your beliefs, you'll notice a shift in your confidence. Confidence isn't about pretending to be someone you're not. It's about aligning your inner dialogue with your true potential. When you believe in your capacity to grow, to learn, and to succeed, your actions follow suit. Confidence is built on awareness, on understanding that your past doesn't carry the final say, and on the active choice to see yourself as capable of more. But changing beliefs is just the beginning. The next step is to confront those fears and doubts directly, because often our limiting beliefs are driven by fears, fear of failure, fear of rejection, fear of judgment, or even fear of success. And these fears are powerful. They can paralyze us, make us stay in our comfort zones, and keep us from stepping into what we truly want. Imagine fear as a shadow. It's always there, lurking just behind you, whispering that you're not enough or that you'll fail if you try. But shadows only exist because of light. The real power lies in the light, your willingness to face that fear, to walk toward it rather than away from it. When you confront your fears head on, you weaken their hold. You realize that they are just stories, just illusions designed to keep you small. The truth is, the only way to grow beyond your fears is to do the thing you're afraid of. You've heard it many times before, but it's worth repeating. Fear is a compass pointing toward your greatest potential. Every time you feel fear, ask yourself, what's the worst that could happen? And then, what's the best that could happen? When you actively challenge your fears with these questions, you begin to dismantle their power over you. This process also involves taking responsibility. It's about owning your stories, your beliefs, and your fears. No one is coming to save you or change your mindset for you. That's a job only you can do. When you accept full responsibility for your beliefs and your fears, you reclaim your power. You realize that your life is a reflection of your inner world. And if you want a different outside world, you must first change what's happening inside. It's about understanding that your beliefs are malleable. They are not fixed in stone. They are more like clay, ready to be shaped and reshaped by your thoughts, your choices, and your actions. When you recognize this, you understand that growth is always possible. No matter how deep your limiting beliefs run, they can be rewired, replaced, and transformed into empowering truths. The process of breaking free from limiting beliefs isn't a one-time event, it's a continuous journey. Every day offers an opportunity to question your assumptions, challenge your fears, and reinforce your new empowering beliefs. It's about becoming a lifelong student of your own mind, constantly refining your inner narrative to align with your highest potential. When you do this work, you begin to see yourself differently. You start to believe that success isn't reserved for a lucky few. It's available to anyone willing to do the inner work. You understand that your past mistakes do not define you, they refine you. And you realize that your limitations are only as real as the stories you tell yourself about them. Now, moving forward, the most powerful step is to take action. Because no matter what beliefs you hold, no matter how much you challenge your fears, nothing changes until you act. Action is the bridge between your inner transformation and your outer reality. It's what turns potential into results, dreams into reality. But here's the secret. Action doesn't have to be perfect, it just has to be consistent. Small, deliberate steps taken every day will compound over time into massive change. That's how you reprogram your mind, by proving to yourself through action that you are capable of more than your limiting beliefs suggest. Every step forward is a victory, a testament to your growth and your commitment to becoming the person you're meant to be. So you see, it's not about never falling again or never doubting yourself. It's about recognizing those doubts for what they are. Stories, illusions, and continuing to move forward anyway. Because in the end, your beliefs are just stories you've told yourself, and stories can be rewritten. The more you challenge them, the more you rewrite your narrative into one of empowerment, resilience, and unstoppable potential. The key is to remember that your beliefs are the foundation of your reality. If you want to change your life, you must first change what you believe about yourself. When you do that, everything else begins to fall into place. But that journey begins with awareness, with honesty, and with the unwavering commitment to rewrite your story into one of limitless possibility. When you look at the people who truly succeed, who make a real impact in their lives and the lives of others, you'll notice a common trait that often goes unnoticed because it's so simple, so fundamental, yet so powerful. The secret to their achievement isn't just talent, luck, or even intelligence. It's their unwavering commitment to continuous growth, to becoming better every single day. That's the real game changer. It's not about overnight success or some grand stroke of luck. It's about the daily, often unnoticed choices that compound into extraordinary results. It's about showing up day after day, week after week, year after year, no matter what setbacks, distractions, or doubts arise. The first thing you need to understand is that growth isn't a one-time event, it's a mindset. It's a way of being that says, I am committed to becoming better today than I was yesterday. That mindset is what separates those who plateau from those who keep climbing, who keep evolving, who refuse to settle. Because growth is a process, not a destination. And the most successful people in every area of life are those who understand that learning and improvement are lifelong pursuits. They see every challenge, every failure, every setback as an opportunity to learn something new, to adapt, and to refine their approach. But here's the truth that many overlook. Growth is often uncomfortable. It requires stepping outside your comfort zone, facing your fears, and embracing uncertainty. When you decide to push beyond what's familiar, you're met with resistance. Your own doubts, external obstacles, or old habits trying to hold you back. That resistance isn't a sign that you should stop. It's confirmation that you're on the right path, because growth happens exactly where resistance is strongest. It's in those moments of discomfort that you're developing resilience, strength, and confidence. Every time you face a fear head on, you're rewiring your brain to see yourself as someone capable of handling more. The key is to develop a discipline of consistency. Success doesn't come from sporadic efforts or bursts of motivation. It comes from showing up for yourself every day, even when you don't feel like it. Whether it's reading a little more, practicing a skill, reaching out to someone, or simply reflecting on your progress, consistency is what turns intentions into habits and habits into identity. When you make growth a daily practice, you begin to see yourself differently. You start to believe that you are someone who values progress, who values learning, and who is committed to becoming the best version of themselves. This commitment to daily growth also means cultivating a curious mindset. Instead of seeing mistakes or setbacks as failures, see them as lessons. Every misstep is a signpost pointing you in the direction of what to improve. When you approach life with curiosity, you start asking better questions. What can I learn from this? How can I do better next time? What does this experience teach me about myself? This shift in perspective transforms obstacles into opportunities and makes the journey of growth exciting rather than intimidating. But let's be honest, growth isn't always easy. There will be days when you feel like giving up. Days when progress seems slow, or days when you question whether it's even worth it. That's part of the process. The difference between those who succeed and those who don't is not the absence of doubt or difficulty, but their refusal to give up. They understand that setbacks are just part of the game. They see failure not as defeat, but as feedback. It's through failure that you learn resilience, that you develop grit, that you build character. When you accept that setbacks are inevitable, you stop seeing them as reasons to quit and start seeing them as stepping stones to mastery. The most successful people are those who cultivate patience. They know that meaningful change takes time. They understand that overnight success is a myth. Instead, they focus on the process, on the small wins, on the consistent effort that adds up over months and years. They celebrate progress, not perfection, because progress, no matter how small, is still progress. And when you stack enough small wins together, they create a momentum that's unstoppable. Building resilience is also about mental discipline. It's about training your mind to stay focused on your goals, even when distractions or difficulties threaten to derail you. It's about developing a thick skin, knowing that criticism, rejection, or failure are simply part of the journey. When you learn to manage your inner dialogue, to stay optimistic in the face of adversity, you strengthen your resilience muscle. That mental toughness becomes your greatest asset because it enables you to keep going when others give up. Growth requires a willingness to adapt. The world is constantly changing, and so should you. The most adaptable people are those who see change not as a threat, but as an opportunity to innovate and evolve. They stay curious about new ideas, seek feedback, and are willing to experiment. They understand that staying rigid in your methods or beliefs only limits your potential. Flexibility and openness to new ways of thinking are vital, because they allow you to stay ahead of the curve and continue advancing even when circumstances shift unexpectedly. And here's a vital insight: growth is contagious. When you commit to your own development, you inspire others around you. Your actions become a catalyst, encouraging those close to you to pursue their own growth journeys. You create a ripple effect, a culture of continuous improvement that not only elevates your life, but also elevates the lives of those you care about. This is why investing in yourself isn't just about personal gain. It's about creating a positive impact that extends far beyond your own boundaries. The most compelling aspect of this entire process is that growth is within your control. No one can do it for you. Nobody else can decide whether you grow or stay stagnant. That's a decision only you can make. It's about taking full ownership of your journey and embracing the fact that your future is shaped by your daily choices. When you commit to growth, you're declaring that you believe in your capacity to evolve, that you refuse to be defined by your past limitations, and that you're willing to put in the effort required to become someone extraordinary. Now, moving into the sixth key, it's about understanding that growth isn't just about adding skills or achieving milestones. It's about transforming your whole identity. It's about becoming someone who naturally embodies the qualities you admire. It's about cultivating a mindset of abundance, resilience, and purpose so deeply that they become part of who you are at your core. Because when your growth becomes integrated into your identity, it's no longer a passing phase or a set of goals you check off. It becomes who you are. Imagine waking up each day feeling aligned with your higher self, confident that you are capable of handling whatever challenges come your way. Imagine knowing that your journey of growth is ongoing, that there's always another level to reach, another lesson to learn. That's the power of transforming your identity through growth. It's not just about what you do, it's about who you become in the process. This transformation begins with clarity. Clarify what kind of person you want to be. What values do you want to embody? What qualities do you admire in others? Once you have that clarity, start acting as if you are already that person. Show up with the mindset, habits, and attitude of someone who is constantly growing and evolving. Over time, your actions will reinforce your identity, and you will become that person, confident, resilient, purpose-driven. But don't forget, this isn't about perfection. It's about progress. It's about embracing your imperfections and viewing them as part of your growth journey. Nobody's perfect. And that's what makes this process authentic and sustainable. When you accept that you will stumble, that you will face setbacks, and that you will sometimes feel like giving up, you create space for real transformation. Because the key isn't to be perfect, it's to be persistent. As you continue to develop this growth-oriented mindset, you'll notice something extraordinary happening. Your confidence will soar because you'll see your efforts paying off. Your resilience will deepen because you'll have weathered storms and come out stronger. Your sense of purpose will sharpen because you'll see that your growth isn't just about external achievements, but about becoming a better version of yourself every day. This internal shift is the foundation for a life of fulfillment, success, and impact. Remember, growth is a journey, not a destination. It's a lifelong commitment to showing up, to learning, to evolving, and to becoming the person who can handle whatever life throws your way. It's about waking up each day with the intention to grow, to learn, and to serve at a higher level. Because when you do that, you not only transform your own life, but also inspire others to do the same. That's the true power of continuous growth, creating a ripple effect that shapes a better world, one person at a time.